Today, the final phase of the sentencing trial of the Parkland shooter began with prosecutors making opening statements. And prosecutors have to make their case for why Nikolas Cruz should get the death penalty.
They argued that Nikolas Cruz talked about his plans days before the shooting took place.
3 days before these brutal murder, this massacre, the defendant in this case made a cell phone video on his cell phone. And this is what the defendant said. "Hello, my name is Nick. I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and some tracer rounds. It's going to be a big event."
Now, the defense attorneys did not make their opening statements, instead waiting until after prosecutors make their case. So, prosecutors called to the stand a teacher at Stoneman Douglas High School who was there the day of the shooting.
We were having so much fun until I heard what I described as just the loudest noise you could possibly imagine, going directly into my hallway. And when that happened, everything was just happening very quick in my classroom. A student made sure the door was shut. We shut the lights off. My students went into corners. I had some with me behind my desk. Almost instantly, I called 911 just out of instinct. They couldn't hear me over the sound of the gunshots. It was so incredibly loud.
A woman who was a student at the time also took the stand. Jurors also listened to audio from the shooting. And we want to bring in Maria Schneider now, former prosecutor in the Broward State Attorney's Office, for more insight. Maria, why do you think defense attorneys decided to hold off on giving their opening statements today?
I think probably for impact. It would be very difficult to give an opening statement that's sandwiched between the prosecution's opening statement and beginning to take testimony. Who's going to remember what the defense has to say? I think that they feel that they're going to get a lot more impact, a lot more bang for their money by saving that opening statement until they begin presenting their side of the case.
Now, Maria, as I watch this, I'm thinking to myself, well, there wasn't an actual trial because, of course, Nikolas Cruz pled guilty. This is just a sentencing trial, but I'm wondering how this differs from an actual trial, and what are some of the things we should expect from the sentencing trial moving forward?
Well, the sentencing trial in this particular circumstance is going to be very similar to a real trial because one of the, or most of the aggravating factors that the state has to prove have to do with the actual actions. They have to prove that it was heinous, atrocious, and cruel. They have to prove that he was premeditated and that he did these things with a very purposeful manner, that he placed many more people than were hurt even at risk by his actions. So in order to do that, they have to delve into the facts. The difference is that the rules of evidence, the evidence code doesn't have to be followed with the same fidelity that you would if you were having a real trial. In a regular trial, we spend a lot of time sometimes, authenticating documents, making sure that we have records custodians that are appropriate, and we eliminate a lot of that in a sentencing hearing.
And Maria, our reporter who was in the courtroom earlier, told us that one of the family members was just so moved by what they heard that they actually wanted some of that audio to be turned off. The defense then just called for a mistrial. The judge denied that request. Is this something that we could be dealing with as we hear some of these statements and testimony from the prosecutor's witnesses?
We could. I am sure that everyone in that courtroom wants to be on their best behavior, but it's so difficult to control your emotions when you're hearing things of this ilk. I think that, as the days go by, there are probably going to be people who are going to make the choice not to be in the courtroom when something particularly important to them or particularly close to them is being discussed. Generally speaking, a lot of families make those kinds of choices. They want to be aware, they want to be informed, but it's very difficult to sit there stoically and listen to all of this. And they know that potentially that could set us back. If anyone has too much of an outburst, it could actually lead to a mistrial even.
And it's safe to assume, Maria, there's going to be some very graphic testimony, some pictures and video that the jury will see, but I'm hoping not the general public.
I think there will be. The judge is going to make great effort to make sure that there isn't anything that's too cumulative, that there aren't, photographs and videos that are exceptionally graphic unless they are very probative. The bottom line is that this is a very horrific set of actions, and you can't neutralize the truth. You can't change that. But I'm sure that there are going to be efforts, even within that made, to minimize the impact to some degree. Although, again, there's really no way to sanitize the kinds of images and the kinds of actions that took place back on February 14th.
And of course, we here at CBS 4 are going to be doing our best to take care to respect the families throughout this trial and to, of course, bring the most up-to-date reporting on where things stand in this sentencing. Maria Schneider, thank you so much for your insight. You will be with us throughout the trial to give us some updates as well, so we appreciate you for taking the time to be with us.
Happy to help.
Thank you very much. And we want to take a closer look right now at the key people in this trial, starting with the judge.
Judge Elizabeth Scherer graduated from Florida State with a Bachelor of Arts in English and received her law degree from the University of Miami. She passed the Florida bar in 2001 and went on to serve as Assistant State Attorney in the 17th Judicial Circuit in Broward County from 2001 to 2012. That's when Scherer was appointed to the bench by then Governor Rick Scott. Some of her community involvement includes being on the board of directors for Voices for Children.
Now, the chief prosecutor in the case is Michael Satz. He also received his law degree from the University of Miami Law School. Satz has been a member of the Florida Bar since 1967. He served as Broward County's state attorney for many years for the 17th Judicial Circuit of Florida from 1976 until last year. During his tenure, Satz instituted a victim advocate unit to provide counseling and assistance to victims. Although he left the position at the state attorney's office, Satz agreed to stay on to prosecute this case.
And as far as the chief public defender in the case, Melissa McNeil, like Judge Scherer, joined the Florida Bar in 2001. She got her law degree at Nova Southeastern University. McNeil is assigned to the Major Crimes Division. In June of this year, she and the other public defenders representing Nikolas Cruz asked to withdraw from the sentencing trial after the judge ordered them to move forward with jury selection, even though one member of their team was sick with COVID. Judge Scherer rejected the motion.